Okay, you're live on there.
Welcome, everybody, for the return of Trading Card Therapy. This is episode number 26. Thanks for joining us today. So it's been quite busy since our last episode. We've moved our offices from Somerset, New Jersey, being about a mile from Rutgers College campus. Now we are in the heart of Millburn, New Jersey. For those that are familiar with the Garden State Parkway, we are just off of exit 140, a few miles inland. We have just moved our offices as well as opened our first ever retail store. And our retail store is Vintage Breaks and Just Collect. You can find us at 296 Millburn Avenue, Suite 102, right next to the F45 gym. And it's been a tremendous start to us, for us. And we just capped it off with our grand opening this past Friday. We did it with some help from our friend John Starks. Special shout out to Jacob, Jess, and Mark from Bleecker Trading, who helped coordinate John coming out and making an appearance for the Millburn collecting community. There was a lot of Knicks love in the house that night. So special shout out once again to Bleecker for helping us out with that. It's been a kind of a whirlwind both before and since then. Every day we don't know who's going to walk in. We looked at a very special collection the other day, which we're going to talk about on today's episode. But where I'd like to start or restart Trading Card Therapy is on two recent collections that we were able to purchase over here at Just Collect. And if you'd like to read about the story behind these collections and hundreds of collections that we bought over the years, you can do so on our website at justcollect.com. Or if you want a direct way to find those stories on our blog, you could go to blog.justcollect.com. So probably at this point about at least a few weeks ago, might have been just a drop longer, we had an appointment out in Arizona, Scottsdale specifically, where it is very, very hot. Shout out to Charles, my friend Tony. Had a great time out there. But the great time was certainly made greater by this amazing fresh collection, fresh to the hobby. Over 800 cards from the 1930s. It was a family that had them that was passed down the cards over, obviously some family members in the past. And they were in charge of figuring out what they were going to do with a collection over 800 1930s cards, which included over 600 1933 Goudeys. There was about 150 34 Goudeys and some Diamond Stars. And some other, Goudey heads up, a couple other miscellaneous cards in between. But the highlight most certainly was a near complete set of 1933 Goudey baseball cards. There was no Nap Lajoie, the rarity, if you will. However, and this is what I've talked about in my other podcast, Leighton's Loft, and just on our Vintage Break stream during our live shows, where, you can come join us even if you're not breaking, kind of just enjoy the camaraderie and the community and such. So when this family contacted us, they kind of gave us about 50 cards as their highlights. And what I've shared with people before, what made this collection so amazing, so unreal, was going out and viewing it and realizing that there was not just a couple, but there was many more Babe Ruths and Lou Gehrig cards that were not on the original evaluation. And as I've said time and time again, normally when you're going out to see a collection, whether it be it's an inheritance or someone who's in the hobby or anything in between, if they tell you they have two Babe Ruth cards, they have two Babe Ruth cards. If they tell you they have three Mickey Mantles, and they have three Mickey Mantles, there's not usually extra. And in this case, there were many extra cards, many extra highlights, Hall of Famers, including Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. And so if you want to check out the reel on Instagram, you could check out my personal Instagram account, Leighton_Sheldon, where we showed off each and every one of the Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth cards. And I have most of them here today, which we're going to run through them in just a second for you folks who are watching live on Instagram or live on YouTube. There were, believe it or not, in all, in the collection of just over 800 1930s cards, there were 22 cards of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig Goudeys. And so without further ado, you can imagine how I was when I saw them in person, just shell-shocked. We're going to show them off, or at least most of them right now. Some were lower grade, like this one, like this Gehrig. Some of them were a little bit nicer, like this Gehrig, like this Gehrig. This Ruth is definitely more like middle of the road, which is great. Hey, Kev, how are you? There was 2 yellow Ruths in all, several reds, and everything was ungraded and well organized in the collection when I got to the family's home in Scottsdale. Sorry about that. We had an issue with our Instagram account, but we figured it out now. So we had, multiple Ruths and Gehrigs, kind of all over the board condition-wise. And if you're in the Millburn area, come by our shop. Our new store just opened last Friday, and you can see the entire collection on display. So we will likely be offering the 1933 Gaudi set break as a set break through vintagebreaks.com. You can check it out in the coming weeks after we have some of the better cards slabbed. There were dozens of Hall of Famers, probably more than that actually, from 1933 Gaudi. And it was amazing to see the collection sorted by card number, all completely ungraded, all over basically like their living room, neatly organized across several tables. It was an unbelievable sight for being, almost 90 years old. So we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about another fresh collection that we're able to purchase recently here at Just Collect. And it is an autograph collection, which started off with just these 2 autographs. It was actually referred to us by someone in our Vintage Breaks community. Shout out to Antonio. So the first autograph was of none other than Ty Cobb and his very famous green that he was very keen on and signed quite often throughout his life. This says, "To Michael, best wishes, Ty Cobb, November 12th, 1952. November 12th was 3 days after my birthday." And then this one I was less sure about. It says, "Best wishes to Michael from Honus Wagner." You don't know how these folks are signing. The H certainly looked a little bit funky to me. However, we got them both looked at by our friend Jimmy Spence at JSA, and they both received a letter of authentication. That is the Cobb. Here is the Wagner. So we felt much more comfortable with Antonio's friend and contact sending in the rest of the collection. So we proceeded to give them estimates, meaning the folks that owned it. And in the collection, there was really interesting stuff. There was a Tris Speaker. There's a Cy Young. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. And we're going to show some of those off in just a minute. Let me actually get to, let me see here. There's at least one more Ty Cobb, one more Honus Wagner. There's a few candid snapshots, which is really cool from the time period. But I'd like to show you the Cy Young auto. It's a beautiful signature. I haven't had one in a little while. Where is it? Oh, that's cool. There's actually a couple Cy Youngs. I want to try to find the Cy Young index card. That was really nice. Tris Speaker. 1 second. There's 6 Phil Rizzutos for some reason. Jesse Haynes, which is a turn of the century Hall of Famer. 1 Hank Greenberg. 2nd Rogers Hornsby. And we're going to show some of these off in just a minute. DiMaggio. So I'll have to go through again. All right, so the next one I'm going to show off. 1 second. Yep, the index card.
Yep.
I didn't see it. Okay, and also IG shut off. It was probably set to just like 10 inches or something. So how cool is this sheet? There is a Cy Young gorgeous 3x5 index card. There's a second Cy Young newspaper clipping. And then this is a really nice Honus Wagner signed newspaper clipping, but it's really like a nice photo. We'll get that slab by PSA. We'll probably get the Cy Young slab by PSA as well. So these all reside from the same collection. I will show you the Ty Cobb. Oh, this is nice. The Ned Garber's not a big deal, but this is a Rogers Hornsby, who's not an easy signature, signed photo from a newspaper or magazine. Here is a Ty Cobb signed in his favorite color, green. Just a nice look. Ty Cobb is not often smiling. Oh, on the back of this, check these out. Here is a Cy Young photo. Now you can see the Cy is a little bit obscured by the black and white nature of the photograph / newspaper clipping. But here's the Tris speaker. Both really cool. What I'd like to do is share some background and the provenance on this collection. We'll kind of leave these here, some eye candy for you to check out while we're going through the story. So as I said, the gentleman who obtained either all or most of these autographs, his name was Michael. And this write-up is from his wife, Carol. And instead of just going through it and giving you, some of the details, it really is quite thorough, her description. And I found it quite enjoyable to read. So I'm going to share that with you right now, straight from Trading Card Therapy, episode number 26. And once again, if you'd like to see future episodes, you can do so here every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time live, or we'll upload them on Fridays to our Apple account, as well as, the other accounts as well, like Spotify and things of that nature. So without further ado, Carol says that her late husband, Michael, was a sports fan. She met him in college, first playing pool and then playing bridge. He loved competition for itself and maintained a sportsman's generosity, whether he won or lost. It endeared him to all his opponents and partners, regardless of the game involved. For the games he loved, he read, researched, and studied strategies. His first love was basketball, and he won a scholarship to Union College in Schenectady, New York, and for the rest of his life, he played for as long as he could. His second love was cards. He put himself through college on gin, got a taste of poker, and fell into a life-changing affair with bridge. Interesting. At one point, he won the award in the Westchester, New York Bridge Association for the most master points won in a year. Later, he and his partner came in 11th in a World Cup pairs bridge event. After we were married, he also played golf and tennis. No day was too hot, no match too long. And I just played tennis this morning. Finally got a nice day here in New Jersey after raining for days in a row. He loved it all. We made an annual pilgrimage to the U.S. Open. He knew every player by sight and delighted in walking near them, maybe saying hi or just pointing them out in the stands. Sundays were for Giants football, my team win or lose. Knicks basketball, my team win or lose, and the playoffs for both sports. I don't remember his spending much time watching baseball. However, baseball was his passion as a young man, 12 and 13. He collected signatures, waited for players to come and go to games, sanctioned as well as practice. He was at least 6 feet tall at the time with a big smile and dancing eyes. I have no doubt players were drawn to him and his energy, not to mention his knowledge of their stats. I have 2 fan stories that illustrate his passion. We were going to Bermuda for a holiday, staying at a hotel where it just so happened held the Bermuda Bowl International Bridge Tournament. When we were at the airport waiting to board, Michael waited. Energy changed to excitement. Come on. He grabbed my hand and dragged me across the airport until we were in line. He looked at me and grinned. This is the Knicks basketball team. I peered ahead. Michael at 6'4" looked like a child as he stood next to guys 7 feet tall, and I felt like tiny Alice in Wonderland. None of it mattered except he got to stand with his team. Once we were in Bermuda, our hotel was full of tourists and bridge players. To me, they all looked alike. To Michael, who read every edition of Bridge World cover to cover, and memorized, hands as well as the pictures of the champions, was a walking lighthouse. His head was on a swivel. He nudged me every time he spotted a top player from the moment we arrived. At one point, we were going up to our room. We rounded the corner to the bank of elevators. One was full, but the door hadn't closed. I paused to wait for the next one. Michael, however, said, "There's room," and we got on. Really? When we got off and the doors closed, he looked at me and said, "Do you know who was on the elevator?" Of course, I had no clue. With a huge smile, he said, "The U.S. bridge team." I'm sure Michael would be thrilled to know his passion will be shared by those who acquired a piece of his sports memorabilia collection, and he would say, "Enjoy." So I really appreciate Carol sharing with me a little bit about the background of the story. From what I understand it, he went around in person and got all these signatures single-handedly himself with other friends. And for some reason or another, some of them have tape on them, but they really run the gamut from Jesse Hainhill, turn of the century, all the way up to the Scooter, Phil Rizzuto, and kind of anyone and everyone in between. Minnie Minoso. I'm going to show off a few more. The newspaper clippings are quite interesting because they're almost like photographs of early guys, which are really, really tough to find. Signed Casey Stengel. We got another Tris speaker here. Let's see what we got here in the back. I'm going to show, Larry Doby, Early Win. I showed you off the Wagner and the Tris speaker and the Cy Young. Let's show you some of the, this is cool. I would imagine he took these himself. These are just some candid photos he took from being around the ball club. Phil Rizzuto in street clothes, signed by the Scooter. Oh, this is, I thought, one of the more interesting photos in the entire collection, a candid snapshot with Joe DiMaggio having a cigarette dangling from his mouth. There's a really nice photo of Connie Mack. Let me see if I can find that. Here's a nice photo of Roger Maris, who just had his record-breaking 61 home runs broken by Aaron Judge with 62. Wish that was a Maris signed photo, as he's not an easy signature. Another Maris photo. Ah, this is really cool. I love this. He's got two photos of Connie Mack in his very well-known straw hat. If you're a baseball guy like myself and like Michael, if you're listening, we really appreciate the opportunity to handle your collection. Super really cool photo of Connie Mack and another one as well. This collection's got a lot of good little nuggets in it. Good forward to breaking it down and checking it out. Now, these are probably not very valuable, but these are some of the first Knicks, and you don't see very many photographs, especially signed ones, from early Knickerbocker days. So Carl Abrams, a couple old, there we go. If you're an old basketball guy like me, this is great stuff to appreciate. And you can see that he had a little photo pack that he labeled New York Knickerbockers. That is the Wagner and the Cobb. Thank you for letting me share that story with you. And what I wanted to close with today on Trading Card Therapy is to let everyone know that although we do this full time here at Just Collect and Vintage Breaks, and a shout out to our friends at OTO Sports, it's possible for you to do this as well. And my advice, as far as getting fresh leads, are to give out free information. So if you want to do it on the website, like at our website, justcollect.com, we've been doing that for over a decade. It's a great way for people to find you. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to do it locally, I'd start going to, the library and the bagel shop. And whether it be, you wear your favorite sports shirt, or, you carry your business cards on you, or both. And obviously not that many people even carry business cards anymore. You just kind of give your phone number. The reality of it is word of mouth can go really far as becoming known within your community as the guy. And the guy being, whether it be all sports cards or just baseball or just autographs or just, TCG cards, whatever the case may be, you got to start somewhere. So if you start within your local community and folks know you as a place where they can get great free information about your love, what you're passionate about, at some point down the road, it may not be a month, it may not be a year, it may be longer, it may be shorter, and there may be a lot more than you want or a lot less. But you will inevitably come across leads for collections. It's just a matter of how much work you're willing to put in. And I was just telling someone yesterday, in a given day here, we probably receive several dozen between email and phone calls. And so when you're talking that kind of volume, you need someone full-time to handle the leads, and you need someone else to, help with the evaluations. It really is a lot of work. It's well worth it if you enjoy the journey and the hunt. And what I wanted to share with people is, we're only telling you about, for the most part, the collections that we're able to buy and secure. But, every now and then we're not able to buy and secure them. Or, we have ones that get away. And so I'm going to tell you a brief story of a gentleman who came in the other day. And he has a completely fresh to the hobby collection with a couple 52 Bowman sets, a 51 Bowman set with an extra mantle and a maze. And he didn't sell yet. He told us he wants a second opinion. Really appreciated all the information I gave him. No matter how hard I tried to get the collection that day, unless I overpaid for it, we weren't going to be able to get it. So patience is a virtue. It's a virtue when it comes to you actually got the lead. You don't know when you're going to be able to close it. And then in terms of generating the leads in that funnel, and if you're in the sales field, you've heard that terminology a lot. You have to start somewhere. So start locally in your community is my advice. Go to the card shops, go to the card shows, go to the bagel store, go all over and let people know you love cards. And eventually someone's going to ask you, hey, you know what, Mr. So-and-so, I remember you told me that time that you really like baseball cards and you wouldn't believe it, but my cousin Jack, he's got an unbelievable collection. And then you'll be off on your journey. And I hope today that we're able to influence at least one or hopefully several people, that there are fresh collections out there and you could be the next person that is able to find something. And if you do, please share it with us. We'd love to hear about it. If you want to sell it, it's even better. We'd love to participate in the buying and selling of fresh collections all the time. But we are hoping that we're going to help some of you out there find the next great big card or big autograph collection or small card and small autograph collection, but it's something that you're going to really enjoy, that you're going to be proud of, you'll be passionate about, to share with other folks on your blog. So with that, we're going to wrap up our 26th show of Trading Card Therapy. Look for us next week and each and every week at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on our Instagram account, Trading Card Therapy, and our YouTube accounts for Vintage Breaks and Just Collect. Take care, everybody.